Wait for it to hit straight up. She's like on it too. You're live.
Good evening. I call to order the Lathrop-Manteca Fire Protection District, April 19th, 2018, regular board meeting here at Lathrop City Hall. There was no closed session, so we'll go into roll call.
Chairman Jeremy Coe.
Present.
Vice Chair John Gish.
Here.
Director Robert Gleason.
Present.
Director Ty Payton. Here. Director Gloriana Rhodes. Here.
If you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Any conflict of interest to my left? None. Go into presentations.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we have two presentations. I'm going to start with the introduction of the new office clerk. If I can get Haley to come on up to the podium, to the lectern.
Throwing them both in there.
So I want to introduce Haley Salazar. A little bit about Haley. She's studied at the University of Pacific and at Delta College. Her work experience consists of working as an administrative assistant at the Chase Chevrolet for approximately 5 years. She was born and raised in Manteca. She enjoys volunteering in the community she lives and works in. She is a new member of the CERT through the LMFD, and she also is an avid member of Behind the Fire. And I'd like to welcome Haley Salazar to our team.
Welcome aboard. Anything you'd like to add?
Thank you. No, I think that about sums it up. I'm excited for the new experience of what I have with Lathrop-Manteca Fire District.
All right. Sounds great. Any comments from the board? Glad to see our office staff growing.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yes.
It's nice to get everything covered.
Okay. 6.2.
6.2 is we have station awards for inspection of apparatus in the fire stations, and I'm going to bring up Battalion Chief Craig Jones. He'll be presenting them with Debbie Smith. She didn't know that until I just said that.
Right. Thank you, Chief, Chairman, and members of the board. If you recall, we had this same type of awards presented last year. Annually, we do conduct fire station inspections and apparatus. Myself does the station inspections, and Chief Capper does the apparatus. It's not for punitive reasons. It's just to make sure that all the work's getting done above the standard. We're looking under the cracks and also identifying the needs of items that need to be repaired throughout the fiscal budgeting process as well. That helps identify major repairs potentially, and also with the stations and apparatuses, the aging fleet is out there that we have, known repairs that need to get fixed as well. So for the fire stations, this station has received it once before. We've been doing it, looks like 6 years now, but this station has received it once before, and now it's one of the bigger stations with two companies working out of it. So it's Station 34 that received the award this year. There are 6 people on duty there every day, and there's a lot of maintenance to get done and a lot of extra bodies that are using the facility. So it's a lot of great effort and teamwork on their part to get it done. So I'd like to bring up Company 34. Captain Wooten can accept it on behalf of his crew, and if you'd like to say a few words in regards to the station inspection, feel free to do so.
Thank you, and we appreciate all the extra help we've got with 3 extra people a day there. So hopefully we'll have the award again next year.
Okay, we can take a picture with you guys, turn around, and get in there.
And the same goes along the lines as we just talked about as regard to the apparatus. This station has won it 4 of the 6 years, so it's no surprise that Station 33 is up here again tonight. So Captain Forberg, if you and Engineer for Tuning would like to come receive your award. Don't be shy. Good job. Thanks. Anything you'd like to say?
Thank you, guys. It's nice to be recognized for that. I mean, we try to take as much pride as we can in it and pay attention to details out at Station 3. It's, you know, it's what we do, so we just keep after it. And as long as, you know, we don't slack on anything, all we got to do is maintain it as it is. So we're proud that we're recognized for this. Thank you.
Thank you. If I get a quick picture of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad that we have this program to award them for their efforts. Any public comment interest cards? Okay, we'll go into the consent items. Could you read that for us, please?
Consent items, 8.1, the March 15th, 2018 regular board meeting minutes. 8.2, monthly register of warrants. 8.3, receive and file March 2018 incident and training report. 8.4, receive and file monthly year-to-date budget report. 8.5, receive and file fiscal year 2016-2017 financial audit report.
Okay, any items to be pulled?
I don't have any items to pull, but I just want to make reference to 8.5, receive and file fiscal year 2016-2017 financial audit report. This officially brings us completely to date. And I want to thank everybody that worked so hard to get us here. This is a major, major achievement. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Agreed. If nothing's to be pulled, I'll entertain a motion.
Move we accept the consent calendar.
I'll second it.
Okay,
Roll call, Director Rhodes,
Yes.
Director Payton. Yes. Director Gleason,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gish,
Yes.
Chairman Coe.
yes. Okay, 5-0 vote. Go to schedule items, 9.1.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm going to have Rhoda Bowman, our accounts payable and our office assistant, she's going to go over the purchasing policy amendments. And it loaded up.
The board meeting of February 15th, 2018, Director Rhodes requested to have the purchasing policy reviewed and more information be brought back. In March, the board consented to bring back more information as a scheduled item for potential amendments to the current district purchasing policy. Under Section 2, bidding generally when dispensed with, subsection B, subsection B, there was a dollar amount change from 1,000 to 5,000, and subsection C, there was a language change.
Mr. Chair, do you want to go over it line item by line item, or would you rather her go over the whole thing and then come back to it with any questions?
I would prefer go over it all at once, and then if there's any questions, we can go.
Sounds good.
Section number 3, purchases by purchase order, subsection A. There was a dollar amount change from 100 to 500, and some language change. Subsection B, dollar amount change from $101 to $1,000 to $501 to $5,000, and also a language change. Also in section 3, subsection C, there was a dollar amount change from 1,001 to 5,000 to 5,001 to 50,000, as well as the language change. And also in subsection D, a dollar amount change from 5,001 to 10,000 to 50,001 to 100,000, as well as language change. Section 4, formal contract bidding procedure. There was a language change as well as a dollar amount from 10,000 to 100,000, and in subsections C, E, F, G, and H, there were language changes. Section 5, open market procedure. This section was removed because basically it was stated in section 1 under definitions for sole source. So that section was removed. Section 5, open purchase orders, previously section number 6. Subsection C, there was a dollar amount change from 500 to 1,000. Subsection D, there was a language change. Subsection E, it was removed. Open purchase order exemptions do not apply. So that subsection was removed. Section number 6, emergency powers. Previously section 7, there was a language change as well as a dollar amount change from $10,000 to $150,000. Section 7, inspection, testing of supplies and equipment. Previously section 8, that section had language change. Section 8, disposal of surplus supplies and equipment. Previously section 9. There was a dollar amount change from $100 to $500. Section 9, annual inventory. Previously section number 10. There was a language change. Section 10, joint powers purchasing, previously section number 11. There was a language change. Section 11, monthly financial reports to the board, previously section 12. There was a language change. That was it. So staff has reviewed the procedure for its consistency. During the review process, it was apparent that the procedures themselves were still in good context. However, the amounts need to be adjusted to today's actual cost. Staff recommends the board approve and adopt amended purchasing policy. The fiscal impact would be none.
Okay, thank you. I'll start on my right. Comments from the board?
Okay, thank you. You said right? Okay.
You're right.
I just have a couple of questions and comments, okay? And for some reason, I'm going to start at the end. On the on the disposal of surplus supplies and equipment. Yeah, it'll be the pages are not numbered, so you kind of have to go, I think it's the last one, last page. Section 98. Okay, so in section 98, disposal of surplus supplies and equipment, I still think 500 is too low, and I'll tell you why. You have got, what was the amount of the inventory? I forgot. Where's the inventory? Oh, annual inventory.
So what we did with that is we put it in compliance with the district policy. Microphone's off. We put that in compliance with the district policy, property and equipment capitalization policy, and that, I believe we don't capitalize anything over 5,000, so it's 5,000.
Okay, so you would have to do inventory on 5,000, correct? Now, on the surplus, I mean, with equipment that may become obsolete or whatever, $500 is nothing. So, I don't know, and all the other directors will talk too, but I think that for surplus, we do have a good policy on surplus. The thing about surplus is nobody can deem anything surplus if they have the ability to purchase it or take it home. And I think that our policy addresses that very well. So almost anybody here, and that's by government law, it's nothing that I'm saying. So with that, I would like to see maybe you tell us later on as we go through and I hear other comments from directors, what a reasonable amount is. But I believe that 500 is too low.
Okay.
Then my second one, on procurement for emergency, I'm not in disagreement of the amount. I actually like the amount, but I'm not sure if, okay, so that would be in emergency powers, which is 76.
Yes.
Okay. When it says fire chief or designee, what, chief, what necessarily are you identifying as a designee?
The designee would be somebody that I left in charge if I was out on vacation or on something of that.
Okay, so they would be acting chief?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
We can change that to acting chief if you'd prefer to feel more comfortable.
Well, it's, you know, I mean, this is one of those things that a lot of people don't want to be responsible for doing, but in this situation, they would have to do. It has to be somebody that feels completely comfortable, and I guess with a designation of acting chief, they would see that they can move forward. It's just an uncomfortable, I've been there, it's an uncomfortable thing to do, but you got to do it. Either that, or you put two signatures, or whatever you feel, but so that the person, because what if the engine blew up and they have to get, you know, something major, so that they have the comfort that nobody's going to come back yelling at them unless they absolutely did something, you know, wrong.
Okay.
And then the other thing, because I was the one that threw out the rejecting all bids.
We changed that, right?
Yeah, you did change it, but I just want to make clear, it doesn't mean that we cannot reject the bids that don't comply with the actual letter that went out. In other words, if they don't meet the specifications, they can be rejected. This is when all of the bids comply with what we have asked, and then really, if you throw one away, you should throw all of them away so that there is no question in the long run to somebody saying, well, you only did this because you wanted to award it to somebody else. But you can still reject, as long as there's no confusion there, you can still reject everything that did not comply with the actual request in terms of what is needed in the bid.
And we would note that as a failed response.
Okay, very good. That makes a lot of sense. And that was my questions and comments.
Okay,
I'm fine with it.
fine.
No, I'm good. I have some questions in regards to, you know, the $500 and a designee, that's what it means. So, as acting as, so you're being kind of over redundant with acting chief, because that's what a designee does. But a designee also has constraints as to what they can and can't do.
Right.
So there's some protections when we're using a designee. Acting chief, that means they now are in your stead. So when it says chief can do this, chief can do that, and therefore gives him complete access to the complete department and all budgetary, everything. And I don't think that would be proper. Designee with direction is a more proper way of going. And $500, we're talking surplus,
Yeah.
It's not like we have a lot of small item surplus. Usually it accumulates, hose, broken hose, this and that and everything else. So I'm happy with the $500, so.
Can I just make a clarification? That was only in the emergency purchases. It wasn't for everything else. So I would believe that somebody would have a really, really hard time explaining to the board and the actual chief when they came back, if they did something budgetary, that was an emergency. Nothing in emergency is budgeted. So that $150,000 are not budgeted. This is that in an emergency, somebody can spend up to $150,000 without having to call an emergency meeting so that the district can function.
But once you have designated someone as an acting chief, it's not just for that emergency. They're acting chief. They have access to everything, not just during that little emergency. A designee can be restricted as to over an emergency or over, certain parts of the department, a designee with instructions. But once you tag, you're acting chief, I'm gone, you're acting chief, he acts as a chief, regardless of what is going on in the daily operations. So you'll be careful when we start actually handing over authority like that.
Okay. I think that's a little bit off topic for what's at hand, so we can cover that later if we need to. Any other comments on the policy updates? The only thing I wanted to clarify is the new Section 8, formerly Section 9, second paragraph.
What section again? I'm sorry.
Section 8, formerly Section 9.
Disposal of surplus supplies.
The second paragraph, is that still Section 4 and 5, or is it just now Section 4?
It is, I saw that too when I read it. It is just Section 4 now.
Okay. Any questions or further comments from the public? If not, I will entertain a vote to accept, or
Can I is there anybody that would like to raise that amount to maybe 1,000 or find out from the chief if, I'm just talking about the surplus. Is there any other interest to raise the surplus? Most everybody has a surplus of anywhere in between 1,000 and 500. I'm sorry, 1,000 and 5,000. I've never seen a surplus designation that low.
slide 15 said this is what staff is recommending, so I personally will go with the staff recommendations.
Okay.
Unless there's any other objections?
Well, I'd like to hear the chief's comments on it.
Okay.
Chief's opinion.
I'm good. I just want to be conservative because I didn't want to cause too much controversy with it. I know that there's some people feel that anything over, $500, the board wants to know that we're selling it or we're disposing of it or donating it, that kind of thing. That's really where it falls into place. Is it gives me the threshold of where the board needs to be notified of that dollar amount. Some stuff really, by the time it gets to that, it's under $500. We rarely have anything that's over $500 unless it's a piece of equipment, like an engine. If we were to get rid of one of our engines, then I got to come to you and tell you we're going to sell it or we're going to donate it. And we did that with a piece of apparatus, the heavy rescue we used to have. We donated that to one of the members of a community that works really well with our organization, and that was donated to them for parts, because that's all it was. It wasn't even deemed very valuable. I think it was $1,500 or something, the value of it. So that would have came back in front of you, but that's really what anything that we don't have a whole bunch of storage, so we don't get too much stocked up to get over the value of $500. We usually get rid of it before then. So
Okay.
I try to keep a clean ship, you know. So I can do 500. 1,000 would be great, but if we want to stay with 500, I'm okay with that.
I move that we accept the amendment. We accept the document as written.
I'm sorry, what?
Accept it as written, or okay?
Accept the changes. I make a motion that we accept the changes to the
The
document.
board recommended,
The board
changes.
recommendations, right?
or the staff recommended changes.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion from Director Payton.
I'll second it.
I have a second for Director Gish. Roll call, please.
Director Rhodes?
Yes?
Director Payton?
Yes.
Director Gleason?
Yes.
Vice Chair Gish?
Yes.
Chairman Coe?
Yes.
Real quick, did we change it to 1,000, or did you say?
No.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
As written.
as written, as recommended
Perfect.
from the staff.
I can work with it. And just to comment on the designee, acting chief, when that happens, with today's technology, somebody's called me, even if I'm on vacation, unless I'm somewhere where the cell phone will work, you know, but more than likely, somebody's called me. And in any past history, even the experiences that we've had where the department was going to go through a public review, with some scrutiny from the public with a couple incidents that happened, I find out when I'm out of the area, and I rushed back to take care of it,
Yeah.
so.
But see, that was my concern. In other words, let's say that they do make the call, and you're in the bathroom, you can't answer, and then you don't get it for some reason. I don't want somebody to be, okay, I'm going to wait till I call. In other words, if you're the designee and something happens and you can't get a hold of the chief, you got to move.
Yeah.
But spending money like that sometimes is scary for some, not for you because you've been doing it,
Right.
but for somebody else. Am I going to get in trouble?
Yeah, and we'll make sure that designee is designated before we leave, before I make that, okay. Sounds good.
Next schedule item, 9.2.
Okay, 9.2 is approve and authorize the fire chief to enter into a contract for the new Type 3 apparatus for Station 35, part of the new development, and I'm going to have Chief Capper up here to do that presentation. You betcha.
Thank you, Chief. Director Coe, Vice Chair Gish, Chair Coe, Vice Chair Gish, directors and staff. I'm here, like mentioned, to present item 9.2, which is the purchase of a new Type 3 fire engine for Station 35. As you can see, the fire chief is requesting the fire board to approve the purchase of a new Type 3 fire engine for the River Island Station 35. With the construction of the new fire station in River Islands underway, it is necessary for the district to purchase a new Type 3 fire engine to be housed and operated out of Fire Station 35. The River Islands project totals around 5,000 acres, with nearly 1,000 acres allocated for wildlife reserve and open spaces. There are also 18 miles of riverfront bike and pedestrian trails. So this means that there will be a significant portion of the project that will be comprised of wildland and river bottom areas, limiting access by a conventional Type 1 fire engine. A Type 3 fire engine is smaller, has four-wheel drive capability, and is more suitable for wildland interface and difficult to access vegetating fires. It also carries equipment that is more appropriate and specialized for wildland vegetation fires. So as you can see in this picture of River Islands, the periphery of this entire project is slated for wildland or open space uses, and that is what's going to comprise about 1,000 acres, especially this area down here with the Paradise Cut. That's all going to be more accessible to the populace than it is currently now. So we're anticipating that could potentially be more of a problem in the future as far as fire suppression issues go. So with the fire facility fees that are being collected from developers to offset the fiscal impact that new development brings to the district, and because the new development will create a new impact consisting of wildland and urban interface areas and wildlife reserve zones, the Type 3 fire engine will be funded using the facility fees to help mitigate those impacts. The purchase will be done in accordance with the district's purchasing policy. This is an example of a Type 3, a brand new Type 3. This is obviously not ours, this is Encinitas, but ours will look very similar to that vehicle. The staff is requesting that the board to approve the fire chief to enter into a lease contract agreement for the new Type 3 apparatus for Station 35, and the fiscal impact for the vehicle will approximately be $425,000 funded from the fire facility fee account. So any questions?
Thank you, Chief. We'll start from my left.
This wildland area, open space, what is the restrictions? Is it just let nature take its course? Is there weed abatement? What kind does the developer have, what responsibilities does the developer have in regards to mitigating?
So we're waiting to see the final map of that, how that's going to play out. They're putting in the main levee now. So I'm waiting to see how that's going to, I think they're going to try to let nature take its course with that, and they're not going to do any intervention at all, and hopefully it's just going to be a wildlife habitat that people will be able to enjoy when they walk down there. But unfortunately, if it gets to a dry year, there's going to be a lot of dry vegetation that can grow and that can spark fires and push flames through. Is like an American River type river bottom situation where you could have a lot of fire in a short period of time. So that's what we're anticipating that's going to be like.
Thank you.
So are we talking for Station 35 a Type 3 instead of a Type 1?
No, in addition to,
In addition to a Type 1?
it'll be cross-staffed.
So have we ever considered a Type 4 engine, which is smaller, more maneuverable, and easier to get into those areas and would cost a lot less money? Have we considered that at all?
Well, they changed the type in a little bit, but you'd be looking at a Type 5 or a Type 6 type engine.
We used to call them tank wagons.
Yeah, they just recently changed them, but I think what you're thinking is more of the pickup with the slide.
Yeah.
And so that could be an option we could look at. I think a Type 3 gives us more, because of the access to water, it gives us more water capability. So when you're looking at a Type 6, you're only getting about 50 gallons of water. So we would need, a water tender to come out there. It'd have to be additional resources, where a Type 3 could probably get initial attack because we can get up to, 500 gallons of water and the pump capacity to pump additional lines. So when you're pushing them, so what happens if we can't get great access? We have to do a progressive hose lay, so a Type 3 has more hose on it. It has more hose to do a progressive hose lay, more 1.5 inch single jacketed. It's really specific for that type of attack. Where a Type 5 would be more mobile, like you said, better access, but some of these might be areas that are somewhat marshy, and we might not be able to get the apparatus to, but we need to get through it to get to the area that's burning. So that gives us options with the Type 3. Be four-wheel drive, we have the accessibility, not as much as a Type 6 or a Type 5, but it does have the hose cache to be able to provide that additional resource or action that we can take.
Okay, we used to run them in tandem, the engine, the Type 1, and the Type, I guess, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But my question was, have you looked at it? And obviously,
Yeah.
Okay.
It was an option we thought about initially, and then we were like, well, that's something we want to do at one of our stations, the rural stations with the Type 5 or 6 out there. They do have some nice capacity to them, but that would be because of the staffing arrangement, not necessarily because of that we'd be forced to do that. I'd still want a Type 3 if I could out there too, so. Just gives you better options.
So then 35 would go either or.
Yeah, if they had a wildland, they'd jump on the Type 3 and go. If they had, river bottom fire or, fire from the levee or whatnot, they'd jump on that. And then we're going to have a truck there too. So that station will have a Type 1, a Type 3, and a truck.
Okay. I'm good.
Okay. Vice Chair Gish?
No.
Director Rhodes?
I'm good.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'll thank you very much. Any questions from the public? Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we authorize the chief to go ahead and get us a Type 3.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion by Director Gleason, a second by Director Payton. Roll call, please.
Director Rhodes?
Yes.
Director Payton?
Yes.
Director Gleason?
Yes.
Vice Chair Gish?
Yes.
Chairman Coe.
Yes. Motion passes. Next schedule item, 9.3.
So 9.3 is going to be the reconciliation of the transfer of funds to capital improvement to the fire facility fee fund. And so reallocation of the funds from the general fund to the fire facility fee fund are needed to cover the repayment for the asphalt project at Station 31. This is the last payment for that. And the lease payment for engine 32 and 33. So staff is requesting the board to approve and adopt Resolution 2018 and 05 transfer of funds from the general fund to the fire facility fee for capital improvements. The payments for 32 and 33, we take them out of the fire facility fee for the year, and then we repay them out of the general fund when we do a reconciliation. Because we were having trouble with the county doing the separate separate accounting of that for long-term, as the accountant wants to see it, the auditor wants to see it, long-term debt. We got that resolved, so next year we'll be able to just take it right out of the general fund. We finally got that resolved through negotiating with the county to actually fix our accounts. So that's an improvement, and it accomplishes one of our tasks on our management objectives for the audit. We were able to do that, and then we finally paid off the loan for the asphalt, and so that's been done, and it feels good. Although Station 2 and 3 are going to need to be done, and so we're going to try to save money for them as we come along here. But we're getting to that point where we're no longer going to be relying on having to loan all that money all the time. So it feels good. So this takes care of it. It's in the budget to do this. We have it budgeted to take care of the 134 gets transferred over there.
Okay, any discussion from the board, starting on my right?
Can I just ask a question, because you mentioned something? Because down the line here, we actually have all of the different projects that have happened in the last year. Were any of those projects in the unincorporated areas?
So the engine 32 and 33 are in unincorporated areas.
That's what I mean.
But as far as the grounds, station grounds, we haven't done any repairs out there as of yet.
But I think what I'm looking at is, there was a lot of projects that the city of Lathrop has approved that are underway or completed or whatever. And I do believe that when I was looking at them, there was some that were in the unincorporated areas. Now, when the capital facilities monies come in, I'm assuming that goes to fund then the unincorporated?
Yeah, the fire facility fee money, and I'm hoping that's what you're referring to.
Yes.
The fire facility fee money that comes in from the rural area, it is to be allocated towards the rural area.
Okay, because I think that there was some projects in there. There might be
There
some
was.
money, okay.
So there's some projects coming in from the rural area, and one of them they already paid their fees, is the Delicado, and I think we're going to talk about it a little bit.
That's the one I was trying to
And
remember.
that brought in a good chunk, and that was able to allocate the Lucas devices. So when we purchased the Lucas devices, and we used fire facility fee money to do that, which helps the develop, because of the development causing, additional calls and a higher populated rural area, that we were able to allocate that money from fire facility fees, because they're a chunk of money. They're like $15,000 a piece, so.
Wow.
But there is additional things that we're going to be able to use for the rural stations.
Very
Absolutely.
good. That was my question, yeah.
Okay.
It seems like we're going through this really fast with a lot of money and transferring money here and there, but this is like the final step, because we've gone through budget hearings and we've done all these things that the public could have come to and listened to and participated in. So I don't want the public to think that we're not reading the information and we don't know what's going on. We've been doing this all month, and now we're down to our board meeting. So anyway, other than that, I have no questions. Just want to make that clarification to the people who are watching.
And you're absolutely right. We go through, actually, we've been applauded for the process that we go through, because we identify it, we allocate it, and then we bring it in front of you for acceptance and approval. So, I mean, we cross every T and cross every bridge on this, and so you're absolutely right. There's a lot of processes to get this money moved over.
Okay, any discussion from the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to transfer the general funds.
I make a motion that we approve and adopt Resolution 2018-05, transfer of funds for capital improvement projects, reconciliation, and I think that the amount should actually be, it's $134,682.75.
Yep.
Because that's what the resolution is, the transfer of that amount of money.
Yep.
Motion on the floor from Director Rhodes,
I'll second it.
seconded by Vice Chair Gish. Roll call, please.
Director Rhodes?
Yes?
Director Payton?
Yes.
Director Gleason?
Yes.
Vice Chair Gish?
Yes.
Chairman Coe?
Yes, motion passes.
Okay.
Go to schedule item 9.4.
Okay, approve and adopt capital improvement plan 1819. So last week, we brought you this plan to adopt, and nothing's changed on it, so we're looking for a reconsideration of an actual formal motion approval. Nothing has actually changed except for some typos that were on there that we found where we didn't allocate the proper money from one sheet to the next, and those have all been fixed. We will be bringing some additional items to add to this year, but we're not ready to put them on at this point. And so with all capital projects, this is a fluid document, things get added. Station 2 and 3, we've identified that the pavement actually needs to be replaced there. We're probably going to have to do one year and one the next year. It's going to be, with the pads and pavement, it's about $50,000. So we're going to be able to allocate that money. We're hoping to have some additional money this year to do one of them. If not, it'll start next year. But that's an example of items that we're going to bring there. The other one is Station 36 over off of McKinley. If that development does take off, as you're going to hear, if it does take off as planned, we'll probably be looking at putting that station in and a project together for that this year, sometimes during this next fiscal year, and it'll be added to it. But as we stand, this is what we have allocated for it. You've approved the Type 3 already, and it's just a matter of the Type 1 equipment, and the Type 3 equipment hasn't been officially brought to you. Again, we will bring those items back to you because they're large purchases.
I just have one question.
I still have them all up if you want to look at it
Okay.
individually.
I was going to call for a vote.
I'll start from my left.
I was going to call for a vote because we spent time on this last week.
Yes, okay, your question?
I guess it's more of a comment. I want to thank the committee, I believe it's you and Director Payton, for Station 31. Is that who it is? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to thank you both. This is excellent. I mean, I know that we had to scale back, and I'm not really, thrilled about it, but, it's the right move. But one thing, too, is, and this is just a suggestion, when the city of Lathrop was looking at City Hall, they actually did some field trips to other communities. I know that we went to Sacramento and so forth, where there had been some projects that were under what is called the design, finance, build. In other words, the developer comes in and does the whole thing, and that was just one of the things that we found out. So if you guys are up for, field trips or doing, I hope this committee is going to continue even though this is here, because now it's the how do we fund it, piece of it. But that's how we found the avenue to do City Hall, is by going to other communities, looking at some of their city halls and asking, how did you do it? If you didn't have the money and so forth. And it was a really good experience, and we were able to build City Hall. And that was it. Thank you.
Very good. Any further discussion from the board? Anything from the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a vote, or a motion.
I make a motion that we go ahead and approve the capital improvement, all the stuff, our budget.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Gleason, second from Payton. Roll call, please.
Director Rhodes?
Yes?
Director Payton?
Yes.
Director Gleason,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gish,
Yes.
Chairman Coe.
Yes. Motion passes for 9.4. Next schedule item, 9.5.
Sorry.
Yay.
Okay.
Or SWAT.
Yeah, approve approve strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats plan which is our strategic operational plan for 2018-19 fiscal year. And so, we'll go through this, and we'll hope that we have accounted for everything that we talked about. I know I was hoping to get you this last week to review, and unfortunately I didn't. So hopefully, if there's any changes, I can still bring it back next month for final approval. But I think we covered everything. So strengths, we had employees, motivated and dedicated. That was added. From the all staff. Anything in green is going to be added from the all staff, and anything in red was the board addition. Diversity and experience and background, community involvement and outreach, skilled training throughout the workforce, progressive innovative workforce, intergovernmental relationships. Weaknesses, gender diversity, complete and formalized policies and procedures, a formalized process to commute all institutional knowledge. We removed volunteer retention, and I think we removed the mentoring plan. And then we added lack of guidance to facilitate succession. Opportunities, building on existing infrastructure, continue to expand EMS service, JPA Joint Powers Agreement, local, state, and federal grants. We removed build upon racial and gender diversity, and we removed expand on succession and mentoring programs. We added engage more community volunteer opportunities, building a training academy. The threats were funding stability, local, county, state, and federal policy changes, unfunded mandates, and we removed privatization. So we went ahead with the goals. We established them at the last meeting. At the strategic operational planning meeting, and we established established formal communication of all institutional information. That was one of our goals out of what we did from the SWAT. So we've come up with retain a consultant, retain a consultant to assess and produce missing governance policies. Make note of that. Second strategy will be to maintain an up-to-date policy manual for all line personnel to review and follow. C is going to be provide public access to all policies and procedures.
All policies and procedures, Chief, or just governance?
All of them.
So they have access to online policies and procedures too?
Yeah, some other organizations have, because that's where we've taken some from their, so it's not if we had something that was, I guess, deemed confidential, then we wouldn't post that. But other than that, we can have a policy on there of, how we clean the floors, or how we do groceries or whatever. That can all be on there. Provide a pathway to good governance, and I'm gonna go back for a minute. And what that does is, we do the policy manual on target safety. So everybody has to go through it and read it, and they have to sign it saying that they've read it. But then they have to hunt it down if they want to. What we want to provide is it's just a document. They can, just like we do our agendas, they can go on there and look at it if they want to try to find something, and we do it in a PDF that's searchable. They could say, I'm looking for 3.02. That, remember, they said, and they can type that in and find it and search it. And so that's what we're hoping to do, is provide it not just for the public, but for our employees also. Provide a pathway to good governance certification. And this is something the board wants to do through CSDA. So we're going to become a member of the California Special District Association this year. We're going to provide training to all board members to obtain the District of Distinction accreditation. This year is going to be our first year to try to get that done. That's just everybody attend, and we've already started with Director Gleason going to the Leadership Academy, and that's going to be, everyone's going to go to that, and that'll be a step in that direction. And we get that first one, then we can build upon the transparency and so forth. And there's 4 of them to get. And then we're going to apply for that distinctive accreditation this year. Engage the community to support and provide volunteer service to enhance our mission was the 3rd goal. And our strategy is to establish an updated and progressive Explore program, which we're already in the process of doing. Grow an enhanced, more inclusive CERT program. We want to expand that out and bring them in and actually do some stuff with them so that they feel that they're part of it. Usually we train them and then we don't see them until we need them for a little bit here and there. We want to schedule monthly or quarterly drills where they can come together, and then we can look at something of the amateur radio, adding that in as we expand on this over a period of time. Support all efforts of Behind the Fire to enhance community involvement with the Lathrop-Manteca Fire Organization. The pancake breakfast was phenomenal. It really brought in a lot of people from the outside, and I think that we need to support their efforts, not financially, but with anything we can do to help them help us, because that's really what they're doing. It's really been encouraging to see just some of the new firefighters' spouses have had questions, because they didn't remember. We always say when you come to the family, it's different, and we've experienced that over just recently in the few couple months. Firefighting is a different job, and when you take that on, and the family has to support that effort, it can be overwhelming at times. So it's been encouraging and heartwarming to see everybody kind of come together to support each other. I don't think we've had that before, and I think it's really a good thing that's going on in our organization. I hope we continue it, and I hope it grows throughout the fire service. The 4th, begin to lay a foundation for regional training was another goal that we wanted to put together. So we're going to start with, we're going to train our personnel to establish a consortium of quality instructors, and working on that right now with our training chief to get RS1 instructors trained up, instructors trained back up, get everything trained back up. We want to establish a regional firefighter 1 academy to be held annually. So annually we'll hold 1 firefighter academy, and we want to work that into like a Butte College type of program. Wow. Where we can bring them in, and we can then, even though we wouldn't be an accredited firefighter 1, we'd give them a pathway to get there, give them all the training, all the check boxes to get filled in through their firefighter 1 state fire marshal, and then give them the opportunity to be a reserve or a volunteer with us for a year, and we'd be able to get their firefighter 1 through that completion process. We want to revive the Rescue Systems 1 Training Center and provide classes throughout the region. And that's what I have for goals and objectives and strategies.
Any board discussion? All right.
No, good job to everyone, because this was from the staff to the administration to the board and I think that the administration had the hardest part, because once they had those goals, they had to tell us how we were going to get there. So it's really exciting, especially that academy. Like I've always said, we're right up there with number ones in terms of training our firefighters. So to make that accessible to others would be not only very prestigious, but also very useful for California. Thank you.
Looks good. Good. I'm good.
Oh, I got comments. So.
Want to go back?
Nope, we're good, unless you want to talk about what, there's one that just has SWAT up there, but, so went to the conference.
Yeah.
And they spent, a whole class was on set clear direction and build your district's future around core priorities. And so they outlined that first thing we need to do a SWOT. We need to have a mission statement. We need to have a value statement, and how to go through a SWOT and with the board. And it's an evaluation time for the department and for us. Are we meeting our objective? Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? And people are like, what's a SWOT? What do those stand for? I'm like, this is so sweet. We already do this. And so it was a really accolades for us. Now they're teaching it at, the at the conferences, things that we already do. And so it was nice. It was nice to be able to be on the other side of things for a while. And then they talked about how SWOT, not only is evaluation for us and for them, it sets up the evaluation for the GM, the general manager, and how did they do? Are we meeting our goals? What direction are we headed? And it was everything that we're doing, and it was nice. It was really, really good to hear all that and be part of that. So we're doing good. Appreciate it. It's nice to be part of a board that is ahead of the curve. So
Anything they suggested to do that we're not doing?
not on this. Lots of other areas. Not on the strategic planning stuff that we're
That's
heading in
good
the right
to hear.
direction.
Well, it's good to be setting the pace, and there's always going to be stuff that we can learn and do more of in other aspects. So that's why we're part of that process.
Okay. Any discussion from the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat plan for 2019.
Motion from Rhodes. I have a second from Director Payton. Roll call, please.
Director Rhodes?
Yes?
Director Payton?
Yes.
Director Gleason?
Yes.
Vice Chair Gish?
Yes.
Chairman Coe?
Yes.
Okay.
Pass.
Our next item is construction and development update, and I'm going to bring up the Deputy Fire Marshal, and he's going to give us an update of what's happening in our city. Here you go. Let me bring it up for you. Yeah.
Been looking forward to this one.
Just the city or the district?
Oh, the whole district, I'm sorry. That was my fault. I misspoke.
Chairman, members of the board, good evening. Steve Pickle, Deputy Fire Marshal. Present item 10.1, construction and development update. There's a lot going on, and we want to keep you informed. I'm going to start off with some of the more recently approved projects, and then move into the projects that are a little further along and either in construction or recently completed. First off, the Murphy Parkway Warehouse Project. This is a big one, 870,000 square foot warehouse and distribution center. This is on the southern end of the Pilkington site. Due to the increased truck traffic, they're trying to make the entrance down over on Murphy to kind of eliminate the impact on Louise. This has been approved at the Planning Commission level and is currently in plan check. UPS over on Harlan, they have a pretty major operation there. They needed to make some adjustments to their site to accommodate for their delivery vehicles, so they're installing a new fueling station, a truck wash bay. This is also currently in plan check. Mossdale Landing Apartments. There's been some interest expressed by the community around here that they're looking for more affordable housing in the area, and it's been in demand for a while. This particular project was actually approved back in 2007, but due to various reasons, they held off on production, but they have resubmitted, and it's in building plan check right now. They've made some changes to the structures and carports instead of garages, but it's nice to see that these apartments are getting built, or at least in the process of getting that started. Town Center Apartments is actually going in this open lot next door. Little more unique design, 62-unit multifamily development. One of their proposals on the design was there's going to be, on the frontage right here on Town Center, there's going to be like some commercial units with residential on top, kind of moving back into the development. That has been approved. We haven't seen the building plans come in yet. South Lathrop Commerce Center, that's a bigger project over, you may be aware, just south of 120. That was actually approved back in 2016. From what I hear through the grapevine, they actually resubmitted today with some slight lot adjustments, trying to maybe add another building or two and arrange the layout. But we're looking at that being coming in for building plan eventually here, but we're not sure the exact dates. Nemo, nationally known as Rad Urban. This is over on the corner of DRC and Murphy. They have kind of a cool operation where they build those stackable modular buildings that are used for offices or residential in major city areas where they're out of room for growth or out of room to build, so they have to build vertically. That's kind of what they do on the side of their structure, more for like a showcase and storage and distribution while they're actually have a job sold, and they're putting in a big crane operation, and they adjusted the site a little bit, and we worked with them on our access, but that's currently under plan review as well. A&A Intermodal, due to the large amount of industrial and warehousing around here, there's a high demand for truck parking. This is the open lot over on the corner of McKinley and Louise, across the street from CBC Steel. And that's basically the intention of this site is truck parking with the enclosed security fence and the guard shack. The application is being processed. I think that's going to Planning Commission soon. The North Crossroads Business Park, that's a bigger project, also on the Pilkington site, but this is along the Louise frontage. 7 industrial buildings will help that area visually, and again, that one is also in the same boat where the application is being processed for review. Felon Lathrop Gateway, this is a big project. Industrial, to give you an idea of the site here, the south of 120 in the Gateway area. We had our second development review committee last week. We're working with them because they're trying to jam a lot of structures in that area. We're working with them on maneuvering the site so that there's proper traffic flow and access for us. I think we're very close to a site plan approval. The Harlan Road Shop Building, I'm sorry, I went way back.
Wrong direction.
Sorry, I went the wrong direction.
There you go.
Lathrop Town Center, I think everybody's very excited about this project. This was actually approved right here last night at the Planning Commission meeting. Big shopping center, supposed to go in at the open lot just south of the Target lot right there. It's kind of a more modern and contemporary design. They want it to be very public friendly. They're putting in fire pits and water fountains, and I think they called it a happy hour hangout. And give you an idea here, that's the site plan that was approved last night. If you look at the bigger lot B, from what I understand, that's going to be a grocery store, and it's potentially going to be either Safeway or Rayleigh's. And the way I understand it works is that is the initial target. Once those are locked in, that kind of acts like an anchor or an attention getter for the other businesses that like to develop around those. So that's going to lead into some banks, more sit-down restaurants. Unofficially, Marriott's somewhat looking at the hotel side off to the side. This is a pretty major development that Planning Commission approved last night, and we're looking forward to the next stage, building plan review coming in. But yeah, that's going to be a nice addition to the community. Harlan Road Shop Building, that part I concluded the projects that have been approved. These are the ones that are more under construction and in process. You may have seen this one over on Louise and Harlan, right by Taco Bell and Carl's Jr. There's a 3-unit structure. They're very close to completion. We'll be going out there for inspection soon, but it's going to be a Deli Delicious, Domino's, and a little drive-through for Rita's. Home Depot Distribution Center down on the south end of Harlan. Nothing really changing on their operations, but they needed to expand their warehouse. Did a 176,000 square foot addition to their backside of the structure. We've done underground inspections and some welding inspections, and we're going out soon for the hydrostatic testing on the fire sprinkler expansion. O Street Apartments didn't really add any square footage, but there was some somewhat run-down apartments over on O Street that needed some work. They did a major renovation, interior and exterior. I've inspected 2 of the 6 units and approved them for occupancy, and it's a great improvement. It's a great addition for the neighborhood. This is the big one that Chief Neely was mentioning earlier, the Delicato projects. We're in phase 1, but this is a much bigger project to expand over 15 years. The biggest phase 1, is 731,000 square foot structure. I went out there on Monday and we worked on the underground inspections for the locations of the hydrants and the fire risers and pump house. That's at the very early stages of the foundation, but they are moving forward and finally getting that going. The second phase, they're predicting in about 10 years, is going to be the relocation of existing buildings, new tank farms and hoppers, fermenter expansions, 40,000 square feet of buildings to be utilized for maintenance, refrigeration plants, and wine processing. And then the third phase in about 15 years is going to be 80 additional wine storage tanks. So Delicato is doing well and expanding for their demand.
So Delicato is in a unincorporated.
Correct.
You know, I should have known that, but I never did.
Okay.
That's good. We have a winery.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I'm going to flip the two here. A Manteca trailer and camper over on 120. It was an existing storage facility with storage units. They had a demand for RV storage where they could pull into the structure and pull out the backside to where they're not dinging up their RVs. That was the intention of that building, 35,000 square foot building. We actually finished the final inspection and approved its use last week. And then Stanford Crossing, this is up by the Generation Center. You may have seen the development on the grading going on right now. It's right, if you can see the Lathrop Community Center, but it's the Generation Center, building a park and 430 new residential lots, so it's great to see that area finally getting developed. Heartland Express over on Harlan Road. Not major construction, but there was a 4,000 square foot building that they're relocating and converting into a wash bay and inspection bay. I haven't been out there for any inspections yet, but I've heard they're getting close to completion. Almost next door, Boise Cascade, a lumber storage facility. They're building an additional 14,000 square foot structure. We've done the underground phases and we're going out for the fire sprinkler system soon. Pratt Industries is the new big structure, 627,000 square feet on Louise that's been built over the last couple of years. They have completed the shell. Between the city's building department and us, we have approved a conditional occupancy while they can do some minor operations in there while they're working on some tenant improvements to improve the site interior and exterior to accommodate their operations. That they're expecting that to be done in the next 6 months or so to where they could be in full operation. Oh, and then they basically make cardboard, which sounds simple, but it's a pretty major operation in there. They got a lot of robotic and mechanical equipment. It's actually really impressive inside. Don't need to expand too much on Fire Station 35. You're all aware. Last I've seen, they're making some good progress on the framing. Over in River Islands, again, I mentioned that there's a demand for more affordable housing. This is the intent of this project. They're smaller homes, 1 and 2 bedroom situations where there's basically groups of 3 homes, a lot smaller compared to the neighboring sites, but one of the units is basically 3 garages with an apartment on top, which created kind of a unique fire sprinkler design. We worked with the city on changing their standards to accommodate this project. They are at the early foundation stage right now, just doing the grading, and they should be going vertical very soon. Anthem United is a new builder for River Islands. They're building homes very similar to the ones that are already out there. They've been approved and are just starting construction. River Islands Technology Academy, this isn't necessarily that recently completed, but it was completed since my last presentation to your board on construction. They basically just added 12 new classrooms to accommodate for more students. CV Steel across the street from the NA Intermodal that I discussed earlier, they just added 7,000 square feet to their building and added some carports with solar on top.
Faster than we did.
What's that?
Faster than we did.
I wonder who they use.
Yeah.
But we actually completed that and approved it for use last week. And that pretty much concludes my presentation on the major projects that are going on. I did want to focus back real quick on River Islands because it's probably the fastest growing area of our district. As I checked most recently on April 1st, they had issued 1,000 exactly permits for residential homes in the River Islands area. Last year, they had 277 issued permits. They're all at different phases right now of construction, either completed or occupied or permitted to be built. This number changes, but most recent update I got was they're right around 50 issued so far in 2018. Other than River Islands, there's 20 residential permits issued in 2017, and in the county areas of our district, there's probably around a dozen custom homes being built, and Oakwood Shores has a few tracks going on, so there's a lot of residential growth right now, and they appear to be selling, so it's nice that the population's rising. And this kind of the approved phases of River Islands, just to show you, we're kind of working from east to west. We're in the center dark, where it's kind of highlighted in black. That's the phase that's under heavy construction right now, moving more towards the west. So that, yeah, that pretty much concludes my presentation. The district is growing fast, and we have a very hands-on approach to help the development of the community and reach compliance and safety in the process. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll start on my left.
Question?
So where do we sit on our solar? Just, you're up there, so.
It's coming up, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Next week, I heard there's some kind of development, but I'm not exactly positive.
We can get an update on
You
that
might
from
be able to answer that better. but-
Ryan, if you like.
Yeah, well, later, when, yeah, but, you know, he put everybody up there but us, and we got this stuff going on
Oh, yeah.
at our station.
Right.
So, yeah, thanks, I appreciate it. You seem nervous, you know, up here talking to us, and having so many people in the behind you watching you.
It's a huge group, I know.
But I always appreciate and look forward to your presentation to see what's going on. There's a lot of square footage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing we have those, your help, our part-timers, that needs to change shortly, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not that we're going to take it away. I didn't want to, yeah.
Expand, it needs to expand.
Yeah, expand.
Thank you, Director.
They'll keep up with what's going on.
Good update, thanks, no questions.
Yes.
Thank you. This was great. A lot of trucks, so hopefully we're getting ready for the collision car truck,
Oh, yeah.
you know, or humongous truck, because I've been seeing some really, really big trucks coming through. So I'm glad when you said that they're looking more at McKinley versus Louise. But very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good job. Okay, next item is 10.2, update on Station 31 expansion. I think I'll let the committee kind of speak for this. We have just, the station plan committee met and decided to amend planned option D. Option E is the result of this meeting, and I have attached draft timeline for the project, and can you guys see that? Is it in your PowerPoint a little bit better?
It's better than last week.
Yeah. This is kind of the plan, and then I got a time frame for the schedule for the expansion. Oh,
Just
everyone but this one, huh?
Just kidding.
All right. Well, we can go through, and then we can look at the time frame after. So this is where we changed the option. I think this was modified D, which brought in an office, and then 4 dorms, and then a living quarters. We didn't have to go out and expand out on this west end. We do have an ADA compliant bathroom with a small lobby, a crew office, and then there's a kitchen area here and 2 separate bathrooms. So I think we met all of the objectives, and there's some storage closets in there. This is just the living quarters. Again, we're going to still do the apparatus bay like we wanted with the sheetrock repair and expansion there, potentially the plume event system, and then the turnout room on the other side, the fitness room and the shop would be redone a little bit. But that really kind of met our objective here. Option D, I think, is a little bit better view of it. This is what we had originally, the dorms for option A, excuse me, I think D, option D, yeah, like it says. Option D was the original one that we changed. And then here was option A, which we didn't do anything. We stayed within the footprint. So I think we met the criteria. Let me go ahead and get that. Find out where it's at now. It's got so many items here. That's the expansion. I don't see it in the packet here.
It's not Station 131 expansion?
Oh, maybe it's here. This is the PDF.
No.
That's a PowerPoint.
I don't think this is it either. Nope.
No.
Where'd you see Station 31 expand? Oh, these two? Yeah, it's not one of those. Must not have got added in here. Oh, how about if I go up a little bit?
Oh, there's a folder up top.
Planning.
Here it is.
Schedule.
Good eye. Oh, trying to get rid of that. It's not going to let me.
Middle arrow
Where?
to left, left, down.
Up.
There you go.
Perfect, thank you. So there's the phase one. So one would be programming, schematic design, and that formal planning commission, hearing approval, get everything done through the city. It'd have to go to the planning commission to get approval. Two would be design development, prepare the drawings and specifications, code analysis, develop consultant engineering system, coordinate special furnishings, equipment, and then a cost estimate, which we've just got a kind of a guesstimate right now. That's pretty comfortable. Construction documents, provide the 50%, 90% drawings, and then plan, check, and approvals through the city. Building permit to get issued. And then advertise for bids, pre-bid conference, review bid questions, open bids, award a construction contract, notice to proceed. And then we just established the start date, mobilization, construction meetings, construction operation, and punch list and final completion. So I think that's the time frame. Calendar days, 15, 45, 75. So we're looking at about 270 days for that process to happen. And I think we're getting ready to start maybe, because there's still some work to do with design and construction. We're going to bring back another bid from the architect to finalize this process here. But we would probably get started somewhere around after the completion of Station 5. So we'd have to work through a process of where we're going to put the crew until then, too. That may be an opportunity for them to convert the current office into living quarters until and leave the apparatus bay where it is, and then they'd be able to respond from there for temporary. Just while the dorms are being done.
Can you go back to slide 5?
On the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. Minimize that. Oh, yeah, let's do that again. You guys catch it?
So I believe in our last discussion, the work on the left-hand side, or the west side of the building, we weren't going to move the wall because we weren't going to increase the amount of staffing. So that there's some money to be saved there as well.
Absolutely. We won't need to move the wall, won't need to expand. We'll still need to, do the turnout locker room, but it won't need to move the wall to expand it. So all that will stay the way it is in the existing footprint.
Okay.
So you're not expanding any walls?
Just on the east side where the dorms are, we're going to go out north.
Correct.
Yeah, we are going out of the footprint, just not on there was no need to go out on the west side where the turnout room and the current fitness room is and the shop. Because we were going to lose a little bit of the shop area, now we can keep the shop as it is whole. And
Director Payne, is there anything you want to add as a member of the committee?
That's pretty complete.
Any questions?
Pretty happy with it, I think it meets our goals. We have a plan for the one's crew, and we know where you're going. So,
yeah.
So everything is kind of going in the right direction, and then they'll vacate, go back over to Station 1. It becomes a classroom. Yeah, sounds like we're maximizing all of our facilities.
We should be in good shape for at least 20 to 30 years with the projections that we have with the stations and the reallocation and the expansions that we have in place. I probably won't be here.
Me neither, I'll probably be dead.
Yes, you'll still be here. Look how young he is.
Good job. My question was going to be, when can we see a timeline? And you have it there, which is amazing. And in looking at the previous presentation with a little bit more detail of all of the projects, there's a lot of capital facility there that might be, so we may be able to have the funds and not even realize it to move forward. So great job, committee. Keep up the good work.
Well, I think the staff did most of the work.
Well, they keep us on task, so you guys, that's good. We like it.
No other questions? Next item?
So we just got an update on I didn't have solar in here, but I'll bring them up, even though it's not on the agenda, to give you an update where that's going. But we'll talk about the testing. The fire captains test is going to be conducted this weekend, Saturday, so we'll have that test. It's in this room as we speak. The volunteer reserve firefighters have started their academy, and so they're working through the process, and when they're completed, we will bring them and introduce them to the board. We probably should have done that tonight, but that's okay. We didn't have a meeting for them tonight, but we'll do that when they're done, and we'll have another graduation, so be prepared for that. And we'll try to keep the cupcakes down to a minimum on that and in the other room. But everything seems to be going well. I'm a little bit superstitious. I like to knock on wood. And we're moving forward. We're expanding, and we're at a very accelerated rate. So we're just trying to keep ahead of it. So it's looking good. Fire season's coming around. Oklahoma's burning pretty good right now. So I hope we don't face with the same problem we had last year. So Chief Manowski, why don't you come on up and give us this is, I think you're making pretty much a career out of this project here.
This is his only task, right?
Thank you, Chief.
It's a good thing, too.
Chairman Coe, members of the Board of Directors, Larry Medosky, Administrative Battalion Chief, the LMFD. Solar for Station 34. We've completed the underground, we have passed all of our inspections, and we have moved on to the canopy building phase. The west canopy is completed as of 6 o'clock today.
Nice.
The south canopy will be under construction tomorrow at 0800, and we are anticipating that south canopy will be completed the end of next week. And the solar panels are scheduled. I just spoke with the contractor today. Solar panels are expected to be installed on April 30th. That's to begin there. And then from that point forward, we'll be looking at the inspection and permissions to operate phase, which can be a bit lengthy with other members involved, such as PG&E and those kinds of things. So,
looking good. Thanks, Chief.
And in the back.
Mr. Gatto.
And I think that's all we have.
Okay.
What'd you do?
I fell asleep during public comment, so I'll have to speak now.
Chairman, members of the board, Chief, last night, myself and my protege back there, Mr. Ishihara, attended the police academy, and on the agenda was our presentation by the fire district. And I just want to give, and I think Tosh can back me up on this, kudos to our department, Chief Isham, Captain Wooten, and they brought the, I believe it was Engine 34 and the rescue. Is that correct, Isham? Yeah, okay. And their number of crew members. I was very impressed, and I think Tosh can back me up on it, of the presentation that was made by the fire people. Even our newbies got in on answering questions from the group there, and did a complete show of the rescue unit, Engine 34, and answered all the questions of the people. I would like this district to focus a little more on our history. You know, we're 82 years old now. A lot of people don't know that. They think we're just a little city fire department, and, you know, we formed in 1936. We were a volunteer fire department up until almost 1970, when we hired our first paid chief and our first 3 firefighters. So maybe you can put something together at our open houses that would show our history. We don't want to lose that, you know. We've been here for, like I said, 82 years, you know. But, like I said, kudos to the crews. They're doing an excellent job, and just keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So that's okay. Wait, that's a good point. We have just tasked out, as a matter of fact, I gave that assignment, and we have sent it out in email. We're looking for an historian to take the place, and so we're going to get somebody assigned to that. That'll be a great
Wonderful.
project for one of the brand-new cadets to work on, and somebody that will go through, because there's a lot of history with Manteca Rule, too, and 36 was Lathrop, 1918 was Manteca, and then they came together in 56. We have some documents, but the rest of them are hard to find, and things weren't, Brown Act wasn't even invented then, so it wasn't even talked about. But we do have a lot of historical information at the museum that they have in Manteca. I know I've researched some stuff there myself. I found that, but it just takes time to do that, and I think, so we've tasked that out. As we speak, that's going to be accomplished, and we're hoping to build something of that nature. But I'll let...
Good. Yes, sir.
Chairman Cole, board members, staff, I do want to add on to Mr. Gatto's comments. Firefighters yesterday, we get a lot of positive comments from the public on that, and especially the breakfast that they, on Saturday. And also, I want to commend the firefighters for going out there on the boot, collecting money for muscular dystrophy. And you guys are the only, from what I understand, firefighters in the county that collects that. And I may be wrong, but from what I heard, and I think it was around 20,000, close to plus or minus, but we get a lot of feedback, and I think it shows when we had that override tax of the people that came voted. It was over 70%.
Measure C.
Huh?
Measure C.
I'm sorry, Measure C. And on the normal general elections, turnout's only about 39%. Okay, so I have to commend board members, the firefighters. Since over at the senior center and around town, we do go around in this ghetto, the high school. We get a lot of comments from people, positive comments. And I think this is, I'm very proud that I'm, living in this city with our firefighters and the board supporting them. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For saying that.
Yes, thank you.
I just have a question. I don't know if you're going to go. I'll wait my turn if you're going to start on the other side.
I guess we're done with informational items. Public comment?
No, my
All right.
comment, yeah.
Board comments?
no, my questions are related to that.
Okay, go
yeah.
for it.
When you say you're going to find a historian, is that a volunteer or a consultant?
It was going to be one of our personnel that would
Perfect.
volunteer for that.
Would you tell them that I would love to help in any way I could?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my thesis in college was actually the culture of Lathrop.
Yeah.
So I got about 82 pages, and I did the 100 year for St. Anthony, so anything that they might need assistance on, you know, how to pursue it or whatever, you know, and it looks like it's mostly going to be interviews, so Benny, you got to stay healthy until, because they're probably going to be interviewing you.
Absolutely.
But, you know, I did the 100 years for St. Anthony. Now, it took me over a year to do St. Anthony's Parish, and I ended up with 100, you know, slides and historical data. But they had a lot. They had boxes and boxes to deal with. So, but anyway, tell them that, you know, they don't have to use me, but if they want some assistance, even if it's typing or whatever, I'll do that.
Yeah, no, that would be great. I'll send them your way. I was going to send them to talk to Mr. Gatto, and then send them to that museum in Manteca. They have a lot of that.
Yeah.
That's where I read some information
Well,
about the Manteca Rule.
and that's what I mean by help. It would be kind of to give them some clues. Yeah, their first things would be to sit down and, you know, take notes. That's how I did when I did my thesis. Nobody really had a lot, so I sat with a great number of people.
Right.
And, you know, and that's how I was able to get my data.
Okay.
But if there's anything they need, I would love to help them out with it.
Perfect, thank you.
Board comments, I'll start on my left.
Are you sure?
Yes, why not? I'd
Okay,
love to
well-
hear about your weekend.
Yes. So I left here Sunday afternoon
Yep.
and arrived and had no problems checking in. So thank you, staff, for that. It was nice. A little 2.5 hour drive, but we got over there. And then the classes that were held on Monday and Tuesday were very informative. One of the classes had to do with sexual harassment prevention, and the class was so well attended, and the interaction and so many questions and survey afterwards about what people thought was so overwhelming. There's going to be a webinar on that on May 30th, and which will expand a little bit what they covered. And the basis of it is that we have a lot of responsibility over who comes in contact with our personnel, whether in the office or at the station, on scene, and because it's not just sexual harassment, it's harassment. And some of the stories that they were saying and using as examples of the harassment that other special districts, like water guys, sewer guys, they get harassed a whole lot more because we're still America's hero. But the stories were just horrendous of the abuse that people were, while they're at work, from the public. And so how we work with that, how we put policies together, and strategies on what to do when that all occurs. So that was really good. There was a really good one on fraud. They use an example of a city of Dixon, not California, Illinois. A lady embezzled $54 million from a budget of $10 million. That's all I had. So I was like, well, how does that happen? Because ours is $9 million, you know, and so it's not very. Its size was about the same in population. It mirrored us, except for they were a whole city, and we're just a fire district. But how she did it and what she did and the lack of controls that was occurring, and because now we've gotten our audits, how we've put those controls in place. But they pointed out that the audit is not your first line of defense. Your first line of defense was word of mouth. Hey, did you hear what this person's doing? Did you hear what that person's doing? And taking those little rumors serious. And then as they leave for vacation, check the books, check what's going on. And so
Just ask the questions, right?
Ask lots of questions, yeah.
Because there's nothing wrong with asking questions.
No, and the problem is this lady worked the counter, brought the money in, paid the bills. She actually she set up an account at the bank, their bank, but had that particular statement sent to a P.O. box instead of to the city. And she would just siphon money over, and it was on all the reports, everybody saw it, but never questioned as to where this money was going, what was the account balance of this account. And she just bought a horse ranch, and she did all kinds of crazy things with the $54 million. And so, wow. Yeah, there's a movie out.
You can trust and be sure.
Queen of Horses is the movie.
You can trust and be sure David, our auditor, he asked all the questions. He's pretty painful at times, so.
Yeah,
as much as you may think that's not your first defense, he's a very good auditor. He asks very good questions, and he keeps us on task, so. But you're right, ask good questions.
One place where, you ask about where did we kind of fall down a little bit, and it's having our policies and procedures readily available instead of trying to, piecing things, have them, but, doing the research, and because it takes staff time. And one of the things that they pointed out was the public expects to be able to ask a question and get an answer right now. And so if you don't have a book on governance or one on policy and procedures in the department, they get frustrated, and that frustration bleeds over into public comments and other things because they think you're hiding something. And then they talked about using your electronics during a meeting. That if you're using your electronics during a meeting, then it's open for the discovery of Public Information Act. And do you want your information on your computer all done? Because they want to see, well, you must be texting, Gish during your meeting because, you're voting the same way, and they see that, and they want that then disclosed. So that was brought up.
He's calling you out.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not using my phone to look at the agenda anymore. What else was there? Conducting a manager's evaluation was one thing, and we do it, but it's on schedule. It should be tied in with your SWOT and your strategic plans, because how else does the general manager know what's going on if you don't set out a plan and what can he be gauged on, type of thing. And then the procedures, and I was really amazed that so many people in the room didn't have these procedures of you do your contract. That's one closed session, and your compensation is another agenda item, and how they're handled with legal counsel and negotiating teams and those kinds of things. I'm thinking, we do that already. I'm pretty sure we do that already, and breaking things up. But there were many who were like, "No, we can't do that." So a lot of the things that was there learning is things that we've already implemented. Except for the policy and procedures. And we're working on it. We're partially there. So that was how it all went. Turned in my whopping parking receipt to staff yesterday, and it was great. When you go, you'll enjoy it. Remember when we went the first time and we went, man, this is really good. All that information, you get that again because there's so much new information in totally different areas than we've ever covered before in those classes. So well worth going. So.
It's a great feeling when you go. There's good stuff to learn, but it's a good feeling when you're there. And like we went to our last conference with Liebert Cassidy and Whitmore, the legal one. But it was nice to know that we're doing stuff right too. And so it is a good feeling to go in there, and when you walk out of there, go, hey, yeah, we could expand on different things and do a couple things different, and maybe be more, like the HR that I brought to you, that came out of that. But we walked out of there doing a lot of things that we right, and that people aren't. So it was a good feeling to walk out of there with. So yeah, I know that feeling. It's good.
I was interviewed on camera in a department shirt. Because the last time I was interviewed on camera in a department shirt, I got in trouble.
Compensation for that, man.
But and it was just, why did you come back? What kind of class? What'd you get from the conference and stuff? So that was done. So
we'll look on the webpage, see if we see on there.
So it was good. So thank you for sending me. I appreciate it. Even though I went by myself, but it's a whole lot better than getting left in the airport by myself.
Yeah, that's
Larry.
happened. That was Larry's fault.
So that's all I have. Thank you.
Well, I do agree that those are good conferences, and they are geared for all different sizes as special districts. And us being a larger one, it's good to see that we are following a lot of those things. But there's a lot of districts, in my experience, just from going, that they have budgets of like $300,000 and that's it. So it's hard to do everything that we do with such a smaller budget. So, but that doesn't mean we have an endless cash supply either. It's all about balancing and stuff. So yes, it is good that we're not one of the examples that they use of what not to do. So
I have a quick question for you, Chief. Ever since your report, I've been reminiscing about my captain's test. So it made me curious about what you're going to do on Saturday. And so I know you probably can't give a lot of detail, but is your test, is it a written test? Is it
It's the written
assessment center? Is
portion.
it,
Well, we do, go ahead.
yes, assessment center, fire problem, personnel problem. What does your test, your captain's test consist of?
So this, go ahead, I'll let,
Okay.
go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, Battalion Chief Capper. On Saturday, we're doing the written test portion of the process, and then we will determine at a later date when the assessment portion will be conducted, and that has various stations of. I can't go into too much detail, but various stations to assess different functions of the officers' roles and responsibilities, and then of course there's always the chief's interview that is the last part of that. To make the final determination.
Okay.
We do a written test and then a lab assessment on another day. We bring in chiefs from the outside to attend that, and so, yeah.
Cool.
Works out well.
How many candidates?
We have 16.
16.
16
okay.
total.
Thanks.
Yeah, we got quite a few.
Thanks.
No, and because we talked about, things that can happen, with finances in terms of fraud, I just want, for the public that may be watching this is our audit. And one thing does happen when there's issues like that is somewhere in their audit, there was some specifications about separation of duties. And it doesn't look like the people in Dixon did anything, because what happens is if the same person that writes the check, signs the check, balances the statement, receives the statement, then it's easy to do. Although there was a case, I remember, we used to go to the, what was it called? It's in Vegas, it's a big one, Whitley, which has to do all with financials. And there was a case where the HR person was moving a penny. It was a huge agency. It had over 500 employees. She was siphoning 2 pennies through the taxes to her own accounts. And throughout the years, those 2 pennies amounted to a tremendous amount of money. So there's all kinds of crazy ways, but when you have separation of duties, and I wanted to just, that it's not there this time. So it looks like we've got that, so in other words, whoever signs the check can't receive the statement or balance the statement or, anything like that. And so there's a lot of eyes looking. So I think that we're good. That's it. It was a good meeting today.
yes. Well, myself and my 2 children were able to attend the Behind the Fire breakfast, and I wish my schedule would have allowed me to stay longer and participate more, but we did enjoy the breakfast, and that was great to see all the donations that were gathered and prizes to win and things like that. I was a little disappointed I didn't get any of those, but I put my tickets in there.
Anything either.
2 still that haven't been picked up yet, so.
Also, I want to thank you, staff for sending more of the calendar stuff to us in mail, so we know what's going on. I appreciate that very much, and I wasn't able to stay for the full meeting, but I believe Director Rhodes did. On Monday, they had the City of Lathrop Community Meeting. It was a great workshop. Again, I didn't get to stay for the whole thing, but it was good to see some members of the community come in and do that. And there's 2 more coming up, I guess every 2 weeks. Was that what they're doing?
It's the same thing, it's just open to
Right.
more people. Yeah.
Right. So if anyone hasn't, I would encourage them to attend that. I think it's a great thing, and that's regarding their, what's it called? General planning.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't think I have anything else. It was a good meeting.
Yeah, very good meeting.
If there's nothing further, I'll adjourn the meeting till the next regular board meeting scheduled for Thursday, May 17th at 7 p.m. Thank you.
All right.
Guys, stay till the end.
To be our council.